Hi everyone, welcome to anybody who is new to my channel. You're watching Homeschool Autism Life, and welcome back to all the returning viewers. So I hope you really enjoyed our homeschool playroom tour that I did last week. Now today we're going to talk about my first most requested video on my fledgling little channel for a month and a half. Woo! And it's talking about what we have done in the very beginning of our Sunrise program. What was the thing that we did with Darrion? And so I wrote notes because I didn't want to forget anything. I did want to say that I think everybody has a certain amount of trepidatiousness. I don't even know if that's a word. But you're not very sure of yourself when you first get started, because if you're doing the Sunrise online program, you're doing it by yourself. You're, interpreting the information. You're not really able to ask tons of questions. And for us, a lot of the examples that they showed weren't exactly what Darrion was doing, or so I kind of felt like, okay, well, I'm just taking the principles, taking what I know about my son and kind of smushing them together and hoping that I was doing a good job. Now, thankfully, I was seeing results, and so that kind of gave me a certain amount of self-belief. But I did want to say that even if you go to this startup program, I think that once you get home, there's a certain amount of, okay, you meet a situation, you're like, hopefully I'm doing this right, hopefully, maybe. And so it was really just an important idea that we go, okay, you know what, as long as we understand the basis of what they're talking about, then we can really trust that we kind of know what we're doing. Have a little bit of confidence when we go into the program or into our Sunrise playrooms. And yeah, I've found having a volunteer has helped with that immensely. And I'm going to write a note because I just remembered something. Next. Thank you for letting me do that, because I didn't want to forget something. And I didn't want to pause it because, yeah, that usually is, it's weird picking it up. So, when we started our program with Darrion, watching the program and stuff like that, like I said, didn't really fit with who he was, what he was interested in. And then when we got to the 8-week after course, I was really diligent about trying the things, and Darrion was really just like, no, not interested. Like I tried putting a blanket on the floor and pretending it was a match carpet ride, and he was just like, whatever, Mom. And so what ended up happening was the one time that I was really excited about something that was in the after course was blanket ride, because when he was 5, we would take him to his bedroom for bedtime on a blanket ride. We would drag him there, and it was something that he really enjoyed. But I forgot something, folks. I forgot something. I forgot that he is 10 now, or was then, and 70 pounds, and I am old. So not super old that I can't do it, but my body just lets me know that I am not, as young as I used to be. And I've had 2 kids since Darrion. So there's just a certain amount of, oh, Darrion. And he literally wanted to do it the whole time. Once I started, it was like blanket ride and green lights all over the place. And my body was like, we can't do this forever. And so there was a bit of a transition. He had lots of red lights when I said, I can't do it all day, buddy. But now it's become at the end of his program, or the end of the time that we're in the playroom, then he gets a blanket ride. And I talked a little bit about that in the tour, so you guys kind of have an idea. So what we did do was exercise balls. So if you have a little person who isn't really into a lot of pretend games just yet, go for the big exercise balls, because they can roll and they can do all sorts of things. For Darrion, it was, I would sit by the door and he would sit on the other side of our tiny, tiny little room, and he would bounce the ball back and forth. And sometimes I would pause the ball over my head and I would try and get him to wave. If he was looking at me, I'd be like, thank you for looking at me. That's so great. I love it when you look at me, buddy. But I would try and get him to wave or say hello or good night or any of those types of things. And then as it progressed, he would want to do the bouncing faster and faster and faster. And we got pretty proficient at doing this. And then it got to a point where he would, this all progressed over a long period of time, but he would take the ball and he would try and hit my nose. And I'm like, oh no, not my beautiful nose. Why would you try and hit my beautiful nose? And then it got to a point where I was having, it would get stuck on my head. And I would encourage him to come help me because this ball was stuck on my head or my knee or something, and I couldn't get it off and I needed his help. And as that progressed, he was like, yeah, you're on your own. And he would laugh and think it was the funniest thing. And then I would try and figure out some way. I'd wedge a book in between and I'd be like, oh, it's not coming off. And oh, I'm getting it. And it gets stuck back on. And yeah, be silly, goofy. It was really easy and he loved it. And he started asking for stuck or oh no, or those types of things, which helped expand his language little by little. We would bounce, mommy would be on her tummy on the ball, he would be on my back, I would be on my back because I'm trying to work out kinks or something, and he'd jump on my tummy. Yeah, it was pretty much anything. And then as that progressed, I would teach him north, south, east, west, and right and left and forwards or straight and backwards. And that kind of evolved eventually into when we went into town on our bikes or on our bike, I would ask him which way to go to whatever store he wanted to go. And so I've pulled it out of the playroom base, starting there, and moved it on. Bounced him on balls. So he liked it when he would lay across two balls, because I got two, and he would lay across, and then he liked it when I would bounce him. And I'm wearing my loud necklace, but he liked it when I bounced him, and I would shake it and try and make sure that he wouldn't fall off. But at the same time, it was earthquake, and so then you'd stop and you would wait for him to say earthquake. He really loved that. And then piggyback rides. Yes, piggyback rides. So, or horseyback rides. No, piggyback rides. Piggyback rides is the shoulders one, where he's on your shoulders. So he really liked that, and that evolved into, there's a streamers or something on our door, and he was really into a twister because we had a twister in the area a year or so back, maybe 2 years, I don't remember, but he wanted to make a twister, and so then he would have us blow on this thing, and then we would twist, 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 and mommy would get sick, and I could only do it once, and I would just say, one time, buddy, because I could not. I'm getting old, I promise, I'm getting old, and my tummy is just I can't handle this. So the other thing was he loved horseback rides, and that taught him to go giddy up when he wanted us to go, and whoa when he wanted us to stop. And he didn't want us to stop for very long, just so you know. If your child is into that, just, whatever, just be aware. And then Darrion loves tickle and chase games. So he has me eat his belly button. I'll Zerber his belly button, was just blowing air on his belly. I'll pretend to eat his feet. I'll pretend, and that has actually grown into more games. And I'll tell you about it later because it's actually linked to our homeschool one. Those were really fun. And then these fellas. So this is Boober. And he is from a show called Fraggle Rock, which if you were born in the 80s, you saw. I'm aging myself. But yeah, no, this is Gobo and this is Boober. And these were Darrion's best friends for quite some time in the playroom. And so one of the things, I'm going to try and do it for you. Okay, just a minute, Bug. You'd be like, okay, I want to get Darrion the doozer stick Darrion, that's their food. And he would be like, how are we going to get him? And he would be like, well, and I would do this for him from behind so he couldn't see my mouth, but he could see them having a conversation. And I'd be like, blah, 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 blah. And then they would make up a plan and they go, 1, 2, 3, break. And then they would attack. And by attack, tickle, laugh, chase him around. And we'd put them on the floor, and they would eat, oh, delicious doozer sticks, awesome, Darrion doozer sticks are so delicious, etc., etc. And then eventually, they'd be too busy celebrating, and he would disappear. And they'd go, oh, do you want some more? And he'd go, oh, yes, I love, okay, let's go get some more. And then they'd look her down, and they'd go, oh, he's gone! Why weren't you watching him? And etc., etc. And Darrion's in the back giggling away. He thought he was absolutely hilarious. And they would look over my shoulder and go, oh, I see him. And this one would go, oh, good. And we would do it all over again. It was this cyclical thing that he thought was absolutely hilarious. He did hit them to try and get them to chase him. And I was really clear with him going, oh, we don't hit our friends. We tell them what to do. And so that helped him transition from, because he was doing it on the playground with our girls as well. He wanted to be chased. You can't get me. You can't get me. And he would just like hit, like go to tag them, but it's more of a hit. And most people didn't really understand that. So that helped try and like change that perception of that's how we play the game to a little bit more a friendlier version. You can't get me from a distance. Then the kids were chased and he was on. So it was really exciting stuff. So that was what we kind of did at the very beginning of our program. It lasted for a while, and then it did change as time went on. And when I talk about the things I did for homeschooling, you'll see how that evolved. I am super, 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 super excited for next week. I have 1 volunteer. Now, I wanted 5 when I started the program because I really felt like I was like, I'm so far behind. Most people start their programs when the kids are like 3, 4 years old. My son is 10. I have to get on this. I need to deal with it. And God's really been just like putting on the brakes and saying, just relax. He's doing great. You don't need to rush. So in November, I ended up with 1 a Sunrise volunteer. She is awesome, and she has agreed to do an interview on my channel, and I think it's just a really exciting thing for everyone to see when you're trying to figure out how to approach people, what their questions and anxieties might be, all of that. She's going to tell us that, and I'm just so excited. Some of it I don't even know, so I'm excited to find out about that, but she is awesome. I love her to bits. Darrion loves her, and it's so exciting to see what he will do with her versus what he will do with me. So thrilled. So keep it, like, make sure you're tuned in. If you haven't subscribed, do so. If you don't have the little bell clicked so you get notifications about when my new episodes are coming, do that so that you can make sure that you don't miss it. And I am so thrilled about next week. That's what I had to write my note. It was like, don't forget about next week. So love you guys. Thank you for coming. I hope this was encouraging, that you found something of value in it. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on the most exciting episode ever. All right, we'll talk to you guys later.